Picture this. A sold-out crowd of over 82,000 people packed into MetLife Stadium. The lights cut to red, and one man is about to make an entire section of that stadium shake. Not metaphorically, literally shake, with nothing but his voice, his body, and 11 years of stage command. If you think you've seen Jimin perform before, what happened at MetLife Stadium on August 1st, 2026 is going to change that. Stick around, because by the end of this video you're going to understand exactly why a reporter covering the show that night said he could physically feel the crowd's energy moving through his own section. And if you're new to this channel, this is where we break down the biggest Jimin and BTS moments as they happen, so go ahead and hit that subscribe button now before we get into it. Because trust me, you don't want to miss what's coming next in this tour. Let's set the scene first, because context is everything here. This wasn't just any stop on the ARIRANG World Tour. This was BTS returning to MetLife Stadium for the second North American leg of the tour, and for Jimin specifically, it was personal. Less than 2 weeks earlier, Jimin had stood on that exact same field for the World Cup final halftime show, his long blonde hair pulled back in a low ponytail, performing in front of a global audience. Now he was back, this time with his hair transformed into stunning gray tones, giving him what fans and reporters alike described as a princely, almost regal aura. 2 performances at the same stadium in under 2 weeks. 2 completely different energies. An army showed up in force for both. MetLife Stadium isn't a small venue. We're talking about a stadium that holds over 82,000 people, the single biggest venue on the entire US leg of this tour. And it sold out instantly in the very first wave of ticket sales back in January. Think about that for a second. Before anyone knew what the setlist would look like, before anyone had seen a single teaser, tickets for a venue that size disappeared instantly. That's the kind of demand we're talking about. And it wasn't just the number of tickets that told the story of how big this night was, it was the lengths fans went to just to be there. Rolling Stone covered fans who traveled all the way from the Philippines just to stand inside that stadium, alongside families who had been counting down the days for months. Just outside the venue, at a BTS pop-up hosted at the Korean Cultural Center in New York City, fans lined up all weekend to customize their own light sticks before heading over to MetLife, turning the entire tri-state area into one giant, days-long celebration before a single note had even played. The stage itself only added to the anticipation, a rising platform built into the 360-degree design, complete with video screens built directly into its sides, so that even before Jimin or any other member set foot on it, the production alone was signaling that this show was going to be bigger than anything else the tour had done in North America so far. By the time the lights actually went down, you had 80,000+ people who hadn't just bought a ticket, they had built an entire weekend around being in that room. And on the night of August 1st, every single one of those seats was filled with fans who had been waiting months, some of them years, for this exact moment. Now here's where it gets interesting, and here's the part you clicked on this video for. Deep into the set list, during Act 2 of the show, BTS did something unexpected. They took FYA, a track built on a Jersey Club-inspired beat, which, by the way, performing a Jersey Club sound in an actual New Jersey stadium is not a coincidence. That's a calculated, electric choice, and they mashed it directly into Fire, one of the most intense, high-octane songs in their entire catalog from 2016. If you know BTS's discography, you know Fire is already a song that demands everything from the performers. It's relentless, it's aggressive, it's built for chaos in the best possible way. Now combine that with a brand new Jersey Club beat, performed in the city that beat is named after, and you start to understand why this moment hit differently than almost anything else on the tour. And I want to pause on that Jersey Club detail for a second, because it matters more than it might seem at first. Jersey Club as a sound was born in this exact region, in clubs and basements around Newark, not far from the stadium BTS was standing in that night. For a huge portion of that crowd, this wasn't just another song in a global pop group's catalog, it was a beat that belongs to where they're from, being performed back to them on the biggest stage their state has to offer. That's part of why the reaction was so immediate and so physical. It wasn't just fans reacting to BTS. It was a hometown crowd reacting to hearing their own sound validated on a stadium-sized platform, with Jimin as the one carrying it. And this is where Jimin becomes the center of the story. Throughout this tour, Jimin has built a reputation. And I mean, this is not fan bias, this is journalists, this is international press, This is people who cover music for a living, as one of the most commanding live performers on the planet right now. We've seen it in London, where his freestyle breaks during Body to Body went instantly viral across every platform. We've seen it in Tampa, where he abandoned the set choreography entirely during Pepsi and just froze the entire stadium with an improvised freestyle that fans are still talking about. The Guardian, a major British newspaper, covered one of his UK shows and singled him out as the unexpected highlight of the entire night, a line that stopped ARMY in their tracks when it started circulating online. That's not a K-pop blog. That's mainstream international press making that statement. So when Jimin steps into a mashup like FYA and Fire, in front of a sold-out crowd of over 82,000 people, in a stadium built to hold an NFL team and its stadium-shaking crowd noise, you already know something is going to happen. And it did. According to a Billboard reporter who was in the building that night, the energy during this performance created a noticeable shaking and stomping effect throughout his own section of the stadium, the people around him moving in sync, stomping hard enough and consistently enough that he could physically feel it ripple through the seats beneath him. If you've ever been to a concert where the bass was so loud you could feel it in your chest, imagine that, except it's not the speakers doing it. It's the crowd itself, and Jimin is the reason they're moving that hard. I want you to sit with that for a second, because this is the kind of moment that separates a good performer from a generational one. Anyone can play a song loud. Anyone can put on a light show. But making a crowd of tens of thousands of strangers move together hard enough that a journalist sitting among them can feel it in his own seat, that takes something that can't be manufactured. That takes an artist who understands exactly how to build tension, when to explode into it, and how to command a room the size of a small city. And by the way, if this kind of breakdown is something you're into, drop a comment below telling me which BTS member stage presence hits you the hardest, because I want to know what you think, and I read every single one of these. What made this moment even more special is what happened right after. Once the performance ended, Jin, standing there in the aftermath of that chaos, turned to the crowd and said, and I'm quoting this directly, "ARMY, you ate that." 4 words. That's all it took. And if you understand BTS's dynamic even a little bit, you know Jin doesn't hand out praise like that lightly. He's the group's resident tease, the one who roasts his members just as easily as he compliments the crowd. So when Jin, in real time, in front of everyone, acknowledges that the audience matched the energy the group was putting out, that's not scripted. That's not a plan meant. That's a member of BTS being genuinely floored by what just happened in that stadium, live, in the moment, unable to hide it. And look, this wasn't even the only moment from that night that ended up going viral on its own. Earlier in the show, during Normal, RM was supposed to be standing between V and Jimin on one section of that 360-degree platform, and instead he just planted himself at the edge of a stage and didn't move. V kept calling out to him, trying to wave him back into position, and RM never even reacted, until Jimin, watching the whole thing play out, pointed straight at RM and just started laughing on stage in front of everyone. On another part of the platform during that same stretch of the show, Jungkook was caught mirroring Taeyong's move step for step while the two of them performed together. A small, in-sync moment between just the two of them that fans clipped and circulated separately from everything else happening on stage that night. Later on, during a casual break, staff handed Jin a cup of beer. He downed it in one go, and then passed what was left over to Jungkook, whose reaction to getting handed that cup went viral all on its own. So by the time FYA and Fire actually hit, this stadium had already been given moment after moment worth talking about. And that's exactly what makes the reaction to Jimin's performance so telling. Out of an entire night packed with viral clips, this is the one that turned into a physical, felt-in-your-seat reaction from the crowd itself. If you want the full rundown of everything else that happened across both MetLife nights, that's honestly a video on its own. So let me know in the comments if that's something you want to see next. Now let's talk about why this particular moment matters in the bigger picture of the tour, because context is everything. This isn't an isolated incident where Jimin happened to have a good night. This is a pattern. Go back to Mexico City, where his performance of Body to Body across 2 nights became an instant sensation, with fans capturing his freestyle dance breaks and signature spins from every possible camera angle, clips racking up huge numbers of views within hours. Go back to Munich, where during soundcheck a fan held up a sign placing Thor, Erling Haaland, and Jimin side by side, three different gods of three different worlds. And across this entire tour, his fan cams have followed the same pattern night after night, pulled from a random moment in a 3-hour show, then racking up massive view counts within hours of the concert ending. This is a man who, night after night, city after city, keeps finding new ways to make himself the moment fans talk about for weeks. And on August 1st, in New Jersey, in front of that sold-out crowd, that streak continued in the most physical way possible, a reaction an actual working journalist described feeling in his own body. If you're wondering what it actually looked like in that stadium, imagine the lights shifting into deep reds and warm ambers as the beat drops. Imagine Jimin commanding the center of BTS's 360-degree in-the-round stage. Remember, this stage was specifically designed so that every single section of a stadium, no matter where your seat is, gets a clear, unobstructed view of all 7 members. So there was nowhere in that building where you weren't part of this moment. Every fan, whether they were in the front row or high up in the upper deck, felt the exact same wall of sound and energy hit them at close to the same time. That's the kind of production this tour has built, and it's exactly why moments like the FYA and Fire mashup hit as hard as they do. There's no bad seat in the house for chaos like this. And here's something worth pointing out, because I think it gets overlooked a lot when people talk about viral concert moments. This wasn't a fluke of production, or lighting, or sound design doing the heavy lifting. This was 7 grown men who have been performing together for over a decade, who just came off completing their individual military service and reunited for this tour, physically executing one of the most demanding routines in their entire catalog, giving full commitment to every beat of the choreography. HYBE chairman Bang Si-hyuk had actually gone on record before this tour saying he encouraged the group to ease up on their famously intense choreography, presumably to protect their bodies over an 80-plus show run across more than 30 cities. And yet, when songs like this one called for the full routine, they didn't hold back. They gave New Jersey everything. That's the kind of commitment that turns a concert into a moment people replay for years. Now, I know some of you watching this are asking the obvious question, was this a one-night thing? Or did New Jersey get another dose of this energy the next night? BTS played MetLife Stadium for 2 consecutive sold-out nights, August 1st and August 2nd, both nights completely packed to that 82,000-plus capacity. And while this particular breakdown focuses on the electric first night, the second night carried its own set of unforgettable moments too, including a viral instance involving Jimin's vocals during Into the Sun being shown on the big screen for the first time all tour, addressing months of fan frustration about camera coverage. If you want a full breakdown of everything that went down on night 2, let me know in the comments, and I'll put together a follow-up video covering it in just as much detail as this one. Let's also talk briefly about what this means for the rest of the tour, because this is the kind of performance that raises the bar for every single stop that comes after it. After wrapping the 2-night MetLife run, BTS immediately turned their attention toward the next stretch of the North American leg, heading toward Gillette Stadium in the Boston area for shows just days later. Every city on this route is now walking into their show knowing what happened in New Jersey. Every crowd from here on out has something to live up to. And if you've been following this tour from the start, you already know that instead of the pressure making these shows smaller, it's been doing the opposite. Every stop seems to be trying to outdo the last one, and Jimin, more often than not, is the one setting that bar in the first place. I also want to touch on something that doesn't get talked about enough, which is the physical toll this kind of performance takes. We're talking about a choreography-heavy mashup performed with full commitment inside a stadium in the middle of summer, under stage lighting that adds even more heat to an already demanding routine. The kind of full-body, all-in performance that gets an entire section of the crowd stomping in sync doesn't come free. It comes from an artist pushing his body to its limit, night after night, across a tour schedule that spans continents. And that's part of why moments like this one hit so hard emotionally for fans watching, whether they were there in person or watching clips online afterward. You're not just watching a dance number. You're watching someone give everything they physically have, in real time, for the people who came to see him. So let's bring this back to the core question this video set out to answer. What actually happens when Jimin performs FYA and Fire in front of a sold-out crowd of over 82,000 fans? The answer, based on what happened in that stadium on August 1st, is this. an entire section of that crowd stops moving as individuals and starts moving as one single, stomping, shaking massive energy that a journalist sitting right there physically felt in his own seat. A member of his own group publicly acknowledges the crowd matched the intensity in real time. And clips from the performance ripple out across social media in the days that follow, adding yet another entry to a growing, tour-long list of moments that prove exactly why Jimin has earned the reputation he is going into 2026. This wasn't manufactured virality. This wasn't a marketing push. This was tens of thousands of real people, in a real stadium, reacting in real time to a performance that demanded that reaction. Before you go, I want to hear from you directly. If you were somehow in that stadium on August 1st, or if you've seen the clips circulating from this exact performance, drop a comment below and tell me what it looked like from where you were standing, because I want this comment section to become its own record of what that night actually felt like for the people who lived it. And if this video helped you understand the scale of what happened in New Jersey, do me a favor and hit that like button. It genuinely helps this channel keep making deep breakdowns like this one instead of surface-level clip compilations. Subscribe if you haven't already. Turn on that notification bell so you don't miss the next breakdown, because with this tour still rolling through North America and beyond, I promise you this is not going to be the last moment like this we cover. There's a lot more ARIRANG World Tour ahead, and if New Jersey is any indication of what's coming, the biggest moments of this entire tour might still be ahead of us. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you in the next one.